And welcome to another edition of Working for Charities. I'm Trip Mitchell. The good-looking guy sitting right next to me is Randall Carlisle.
Got that right.
The moderately good-looking person with the same malady, and we'll see this in a second, John Absey. John was the bear for 25 years. And show everyone your elbows.
What's
actually
going on with his elbows?
This is actually better.
Both John and I have the same elbows, which come from hitting and landing, in my case, hockey. And his being the best mascot in all of team sports.
Or just being dumb.
I can't hear you, John.
Just being dumb. Can you hear me now, Randall?
And what we're doing during our show is we're getting a chance to meet some charities that are making such an amazing difference in the state of Utah. And with all due respect to the big charities, the American Heart Association, Cancer Foundation, we want to focus on people living here in Utah, where the vast majority of the money stays in Utah, where people are volunteers, where they just find a need, care about it, and then go out and make a difference.
And it's a real struggle for them sometimes to get any publicity or anything like that, because the big charities do get the publicity. I mean,
and so, you know that from being a newsman.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's unfortunate, but that's sort of how the news people decide on what they're going to cover on a Saturday for a 5K race. You know, who is it for? And that sort of determines whether they cover it or not. And so there's a desperate need for publicity about smaller charities that are all over the place, that are doing such a wide variety of good things.
And John, in your case, when you were the bear, you probably did 200 charity events a year. And you had a chance to see the small guys and what amazing impact they have in the community.
Yeah, no, the charities in Utah are they're so unique. And like with Utah Adaptive Alliance, I know you guys just started out in June, but I think what we need is there more resources for you guys to go to be able to help you guys, progress farther and move forward and grow. Because I really do. I see a lot of the charities that I've helped in the past, and they're not around anymore because they just didn't have the resources or the guidance. I think Utah Adaptive Alliance, along with a bunch of other charities, and Angel Hands is one of them, Mascot Miracles, and then Best Buddies. They all deal with the children and adults that have disabilities, and I think it's just funny that there's all these different charities popping up, and I think what would be great is we need to get you in touch, Amanda, with all these other charities doing the same thing, like with Mark, and working together, I think would help you guys grow and helping each other up.
Well, and actually that is our main goal, because there's so many different things.
Well, first of all,
an introduction would I holster you. You sit here next to a lovely lady and you don't introduce her.
So when I went they send you away when you want to become a TV host, and it's like a boot camp. You go away for 90 days, and the first thing they tell you is introduce your guests. And I failed miserably. Amanda King, Utah Adaptive Alliance, and we got a chance to meet a couple weeks ago at an Angel Hands Foundation thing at Cowabunga Bay. First of all, thanks for coming in. And
you're welcome.
And you are such a powerful spokesperson for people with some challenges, and it's really reflected on you your whole life. But one of the things after we hear your story is we're going to talk about how we can hook you up with some people and hopefully make your growth story that much easier. So
awesome.
Now you've done your job.
Okay, now Randall, take over.
No, go ahead.
No, Randall, you're the guy. You're the man.
I have no idea where to go from here because there's no teleprompter. Nobody's telling me what to do.
He was a great newsman, except if there was a power outage on the teleprompter.
See, there you go.
But you do have did you ever read the script? We're going inside I was a news guy.
Sure, that's why we always had a script there, is because teleprompter did screw up a lot. So you needed to know where you were. Like if you're reading along, you say, President so-and-so did this today, and he's in this country, and it would stop. You'd have to look down and find your place on the script. So it was hard.
And thinking for yourself is a lot more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound very convincing.
No. Well, Amanda, tell us about yourself and the challenges you've had growing up and how some foundations and some people have helped you along the way.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Amanda. I was born with a birth defect that affected the lower part of my back, and I've never been able to walk. So I've been in a wheelchair my whole life, but I've also been involved and everything I still love to do my entire life. I love music and I love sports, and those are my two main loves. And so I learned how to ski first with the NSCD in Colorado, and then I got into wheelchair basketball too in Colorado. And then when I graduated high school, I actually went to the University of Illinois for 3 years, and I played wheelchair basketball out there, and I was majoring in music education. And life kind of shook up and went crazy places, and so I went back home for a little, and then I moved out here to Utah to finish up my bachelor's degree in music education, which I'm student teaching right now, so it's really exciting.
Kearns High School?
Taylorsville.
Taylorsville, okay, right next door.
Yeah.
They're lucky to have you.
Oh, thanks. In choir, and it's been a blast. But I also have played basketball on different teams here. I was with the Utah Rush for a little bit, and this season I will be playing with the Wheelin' Jazz. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And just the last ski season, I worked with Wasatch Adaptive Sports. I started working with them as a ski instructor, and I really enjoyed that. And I've always enjoyed reaching out and talking to other individuals in wheelchairs and going through things, because as a kid growing up, that really helped me when I got to see other people, other adults in wheelchairs come, and they emphasize with what I went through because they're going through the same things in their lives. And I learned so many things from them, and that's what I want to also pass on. And I've seen in Utah that there's kind of a really large amount of people with disabilities, and also a lot of organizations. And from the perspective of someone in a wheelchair, it's so frustrating that everything is so blocked off, because you've got the NAC, the National Ability Center, and you've got Wasatch Adaptive Sports, and there's an organization in Brighton, and there's an organization in Logan, and it all just, nothing's connected. And from our perspective, there's another individual, he's a veteran. We just want everything to be connected and to work together.
And that is amazing that when John and Randall and I and Lee came up with the idea of this show, that we wanted to help with that conductivity between organizations, because everyone wants to help. Mm-hmm. And when you work together, it is so much easier.
Yeah.
And so when we met, we shot some video of you at a wonderful event that Angel's Hands Foundation did. And we got a chance to talk to you. Tell me what it was like to be a young girl and go to school in a wheelchair. Just the challenges and from a social standpoint.
Yeah, so when I was little, I actually thought I was like the only one in a wheelchair until I was about 7 years old. I went to a wheelchair sports camp in the summer, and I came home and I was just like, Mom, there's so many other people in wheelchairs.
Like me.
I didn't see it as a kid. I didn't see it in the little things you did before school, and even in school, I was mainly the only one in a wheelchair. And I have 4 brothers, and so throughout my whole life, I've done things and gotten out of my chair and wrestled with my brothers and all these things. But so I've kind of been in this weird for a long time. When I grew up, middle state, where I do things kind of like an able-bodied person, like crossing my legs. I don't really need to because it's just not as the same thing. But it was when I finally started to meet and talk with and be friends with people in wheelchairs, I really started to see people like me. And it was so nice, because a lot of things when we go through stuff with disabilities, it's very personal and it changes person to person, but it's hard to discuss with other people. Sometimes we term ABs for able-bodied people. We don't think that there's a lot of hard times. It's hard for able-bodied individuals to understand all the things that we go through, and even like the smallest things. And so be able to talk to someone who has gone through that, who knows, and who has solutions for some of the things that that a doctor never thought of, was really fantastic. Because doctors can give medical advice, but when it comes to the real life living with a disability, they don't really know or understand it.
So until you were 7, you thought there was nobody else like you?
Yeah, I did. I didn't.
That must be a heck of a way to grow up.
Well, I just didn't see anybody else in a wheelchair, really. And so, I mean, maybe part of it was as a kid, you've got like super tunnel vision.
Yeah.
But I just didn't, it wasn't that often that I saw other people, if at all. Yeah, and I grew up in Colorado Springs when I was younger and just didn't see a lot. I didn't know anything about adaptive sports or know any famous person in a wheelchair besides like FDR, but...
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
That shows you had good teachers. You were aware of FDR, who died in 1944. For many people your age, that's ancient history.
So what's your next event that you have coming up?
So with our next event, we are helping out with the spina bifida. There's a spina bifida group that they have these parents and these kids with spina bifida. And Aaron Fotteringham, I think, he is a wheelchair BMXer, and he's coming September 14th to do a demonstration and to kind of help kids show them how to do wheelchair BMX. So we're going to go out and help support and try to help promote a little bit.
Wheelchair BMS.
BMX. Like through the skate park and...
How's that work? Just describe it.
I think this is something we can get John to do, because John will do anything.
Because I had the opportunity to play with Mike Schlappy.
Yeah.
Over at Wheel and Jazz. They would do it at halftime, and I got to go out and play with them. But I was so impressed with how talented they were and what they could do in their wheelchairs. I mean, it's amazing to me, because I was, handicapped with not using my legs, and I used to just grab on.
John, did you cheat?
Oh, I cheated. I couldn't do it. It was just so impressive to see what they could do. And I mean, you look at the Olympics, and then and look at the things that they can do in the Olympics. On ice, playing hockey, and then and I know Snowbird. I was up there for a Steve Young event. They have.
Oh, I was there too, working at the race.
And I've actually volunteered to MC that before. I haven't done it yet, but that's something I really want to do. I work up at Snowbird during the winters.
Okay.
And what Adaptive Alliance does is truly amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a great experience sometime to be in a wheelchair, to lose something that you take for granted, as a great way to learn about other people and be able to truly empathize. And what you do is amazing.
Thank you.
It really is.
So
and the problems, like even here, just coming into this little studio, we had all these chairs around, and there wasn't room for your wheelchair to get through. I mean, and so
getting in the bathroom was a struggle.
There you go. Yeah, because the door closed the other way, and so it didn't work right. And those are probably some of the weird little things that you run into all the time that nobody thinks about.
Yes.
It's bothersome to me to hear that, because then I sit there and go, I was a little upset today because my phone wasn't working. Right. It's like, are you got to put things in perspective.
Yeah.
Well, and the whole thing is, like, with individuals with disabilities, it's great because we have tools that help us accomplish what we want to accomplish in life. And that's always been, for me, I do the things I want to do. I've been involved with music and with sports, and I see my wheelchair as a tool to be able to help me do what I could do. Because if not, I'd have to be like crawling on the ground, and that's just, that's
So what instrument do you play, by the way?
I play violin, a little piano, and I also sing.
Nice.
Yeah, I was in a musical this summer.
Our show needs a theme song.
Oh.
And
That's
Rambo,
not a bad idea.
All in favor?
Yeah, all in favor.
Okay.
anyone opposed? Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to come up
Write a
with
theme song and then record it. And
Okay.
perform.
We have a full recording studio here, so we can help out.
Okay.
We've got all that stuff. That is how cool is this?
That would be amazing.
For free, of course.
So, of course.
Yeah, our budget is
nonprofits.
No budget.
But what we want to do, we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And we come back and we're going to talk to you about how you took something that was a need in the community and decided that you were the person to step up and do it, and what it's like to form an organization and some of the steps you went through. We're looking forward to it.
Okay.
We'll be back after this short break. So there is tension here because
I'm gonna do that on the air.
I thought I was doing pretty good.
I know, I can't hear you, John.
I was doing pretty good. Could you guys hear me? See?
No, you were doing great.
I thought I was doing good.
You're doing better.
Sorry, Dad.
So the backstory is, Randall came with a brand new tux to do an event. And he just bought his first tux. He's always rented them. And John went silly string all over him and ruined the tux. So,
Sounds like John. Actually, it sounds like the bear, not John.
That's exactly. Blame it on the bear.
the bear did all that. While the bear was doing that, John went downstairs and stole his car. So it was really a bad day.
Okay.
It was just a distraction.
I got to tell you a quick story from FBI circles. There was a pretty rich family up in Park City who had their vehicle stolen. Nice SUV out front. And the guy brought it back 2 days later with a note saying, "I'm sorry, I needed transportation. I'm a horrible person. I've thought this over." And left 2 eighth-row tickets to the Jazz in there and said, "This is my way of saying to make up for it." The family was just delighted and went to the game, and the guy came back and robbed their whole house.
True story?
True story.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I have to say,
Yeah, like in some ways I'm appalled, and in some ways I was like,
Pretty
ooh.
that'd be a big story.
Yeah. God. That's a great story.
There you go.
Well, I'm gonna write that one down.
That's a good way to do it.
So, okay, we're coming back. And welcome back to Working for Charities. I'm Trip Mitchell, John Absey to my right, Randall Carlisle, veteran newsman, our guest Amanda King. And Amanda, you've gone out and formed your own charity.
Yes.
That's a big decision. Tell me about your thought process and why you felt that you needed to start a charity to address certain needs.
Yeah, so for a while, there's been some centers that I've been to where they've really been accessible and truly accessible. And I was working at one of the Salt Lake County centers, and we were having an adaptive event. And I thought that this wasn't really an accessible place. And I turned to one of my coworkers and I said that, and he was like, yeah, I agree, because there's only one handicapped stall when it's this group of adaptive individuals here. And then we turned to a mom who was sitting there who has a child with spina bifida, and she agreed, and I was like, I've always wanted to have an actual place that we can go. And so our long-term vision is to have a unified place where people with disabilities can go that's actually adaptive, that you can work at, that you can store stuff at, that you can go to and participate in things. And then we also were talking about how there's so much here and there's so much available, but not a lot of people know about it, and we want to help people know about it. Because there's some people that are like, oh, I had no idea that there was whatever, fill in the blank. And it's like, this has been around for 20, 30 plus years, and people haven't known in some instances. And so we want to help get those words out. That way, because a lot of times too, there's even doctors that I've heard of now that don't know about any of these either. I just met someone recently who her doctor hadn't known for the 7 years the doctor was treating her, had no idea about anything, and she just participated in the Summit Challenge with us last Saturday at Park City. And so to be able to reach out and help people connect with the things they want to do and not have to feel isolated, because that can be really lonely and damaging too for mental health for individuals.
So you'd be like a clearinghouse to let everybody know about everything going on.
Yeah, and hopefully too to be able to unite and put all of the sports.
I'm sorry, could you please not kick me?
I'm sorry, I can't control it.
God.
It's one of the things. But we want to be able to have a place where you can go. And for instance, if someone comes, they're like a child or an adult, and they want to try out a sport, like, oh, I want to go try wheelchair basketball. Awesome, that's on level 3. And then they go and they're like, that wasn't really for me. You could be like, okay, but what about fencing? That's in room, 602.
Gotcha.
And be able to go. And then I also like performing arts. So I'm hoping in the future too to have performing arts that's really adaptive, friendly. And to be able to just go and do the things that they enjoy without having to feel pressure or having to go a little insane sometimes, because when you go places, you always have to adapt as someone in a wheelchair. And it goes both ways, but sometimes individuals don't know how much the adapting is coming from the individual with disability. And so to be able to go somewhere and to feel safe, surrounded by people like you, and in an area that you don't have to worry about a lot of things is kind of our end goal and what we're wanting.
It's interesting that you're saying that, because, that's kind of the key message out of everybody we've talked to, is everybody wants to feel safe and in a place with like-minded individuals.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think that is, the key, and I think that's where, we're trying to go.
Yeah, and communication. So your organization has got a couple goals, but one I love is the idea of communicating to people with disabilities and let them know the resources that are there, because there are a lot.
Yeah.
But sometimes that message isn't in one single spot. And quite frankly, John and John having the website Working for Charities had this vision well before we met you and started talking to you. So it's kind of come together where if we had one place where people knew about any question about overcoming challenges, counseling, recreation, resources, that would be wonderful.
For looking like a bear, he's pretty smart. He's a brilliant guy.
I
didn't bring my $5 bills just to pick out and say nice stuff.
When he hibernates, he thinks.
But that's right. You've got all those months not to do anything.
Yeah, he's coming up on hibernation period.
I wish it was that.
So, Amanda, you've got a lot of challenges from June, and we're taping this show, even though you're watching it whenever, on whatever vehicle you're watching it on. From June to late August now, you've done a lot, but you still got more to go. What advice would you give someone at home who wants to start a charity?
No, I think you should. I'm someone who I've realized that when you really live your passions and work with it, it improves your quality of life, because I myself have struggled with depression. And I think that there are amazing things all around that can be done. The hard thing is that it's hard, we were talking about this earlier, but it's hard to know where to start. And that's what we came together, and me as a music education person, I'm like, I was able to go online though and do some research, and there is a website that has kind of the step-by-steps of how to be able to go through and to start a nonprofit. And also there's a website.
Will you send us a link to that, please?
Yes, I will.
Wonderful.
And then there's also a website that you connect you with business mentors for free. So, and then I knew someone who he does a lot with businesses, and so I reached out to him for initial advice.
And we have the lovely April here,
Yeah.
who is going to be a great resource. And, to get a ticket to be in our studio audience, you need to know someone. Or be lost. Or need gas money. It's a very exclusive group that comes in.
It's because there's not room for anyone. So that's why it's so exclusive. Yeah.
But you have done an amazing job navigating a lot of this stuff. You've got some mentors too, and you also mentioned before the show that you're almost up to 7 people on the board of directors.
Yeah, actually.
They're crucial, aren't they?
They are. We just got our 7th right before I came in, actually. I got a text from somebody. Yeah. And so, because in order to establish ourselves, we have to have a board and have to establish bylaws before we can submit for a 501c3, right?
That's it.
Okay. But you can start your own essentially get a business name and get that going before everything. And you can also act as your non-charity and still go without having to have your officially organized in the very beginning.
But a 501c3, as you well know, is the vehicle that allows it to be a tax-deductible contribution and really goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And that is a way for people that are looking to support you to know that you've done the right things, and it's just not a fly in. And unfortunately, we see that in crowdfunding. Sometimes bad people will do crowdfunding.
Right.
So in order to go through and become and if I can give any advice to people at home, crowdfunding is wonderful, but do your research beforehand. And if you want to help out locally, a small organization like Amanda's or some of the other wonderful charities we've had a chance to meet during this show, you can look up online, you can find out they're real, go to their website, and those dollars.
And they'll all tell you, like, if we're a 501c3, and that means they've gone through the work that you're going through right now, and they're obviously legit and have a board, and the money's going where it's supposed to go, as opposed to buying you a new car, right?
And in your case, you're close to getting there. What would something that you would say to our viewers at home that could help you get to the next level? And the key here is just look right at that camera and beg. That's it.
Beg.
No, just tell them what you're about and what could we do to help in talking to our viewers at home?
Oh, okay. One thing is just passing the word along, being able to talk about people with disabilities because they're people first. And that's really what we want to be able to see, and our individuals who come and participate to feel like. We also are looking if anyone wants to invest, because we are starting off on very low, I'm in college literally, so incomes, but to be able to offer some great resources and programs for people in Utah with disabilities. And so we would love just to, even if you just talk about it, or you can go and support your local individuals with disabilities and figure out and find out where they are, because they are there.
Any idea how many percent of people in Utah are in wheelchairs? Probably a couple percent would be my guess.
Yes, I don't know specifically, but any event that I've gone to has always been widely attended. For instance, it seems like with the Wheel and Jazz this year, we might have 15 people that could be rostered, which is a lot.
Fantastic.
And that's just an adult men's team. I can play with them. But there's a lot of kids that I know, and there's a lot of people that go through Shriners and go through Primary Children's Hospital, and then there's even those that don't really get a lot of contact. So,
And we're lucky in Utah in that we have first-class medical care.
Yes.
And I know, John, when you were the Bear, you were up at Primary a lot. Did you have your own parking spot?
We did actually.
Really?
They always saved us a spot when they knew we were coming. Yep. So we were right up front, right there. So it was really nice. Primary Children's was amazing. Same with Shriners. And like you said, you hit it on the head. They're amazing and are so caring. I love them. They're very, very good group of people.
Yeah, and again, we are so lucky to have amazing people in the state. And Randall, I know in all your years as a newsman, you probably emceed hundreds of events. And
Only once that the Bear wasn't going to after that one time.
after,
No, I
you would
did,
say,
but
you know what's funny? During the break between shows, Randall got a text, and they're saying, "Thank you so much for emceeing our event," and you have no idea who it is.
that's true, and I've got to follow through when I get off. I've been sober for 7 years, so I know I didn't tell somebody when I was drunk that I was going to do it. So I don't know. So I'll find out. But
So Amanda, when you get ready, I've got two wonderful MCs for you. These two guys,
awesome.
you couldn't
But
ask
what
for.
about yourself?
I've got two wonderful ones, and
Okay.
then
And then the
Trip.
best? Or
we do it right the third time.
well, that's great to know.
But I did, but you know, you just brought that up, and I'm looking back, and the ones that I emceed were the major charities, which is the point of this show, because those get all the publicity and they get the news coverage, and smaller players in the charitable world don't get coverage, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Because these are dreams, and in many cases, people. Mark, who was in earlier, helping him out with Angel's Hands, lost his son Matt, so that became very passionate. You have not had the use of your legs your whole. This is your passion, and you want to make a difference, and that is so commendable.
Thank you.
And it's funny when you talk to people a year or two in, they have no idea how much work goes into this, and you're right in the middle of it now.
Oh, yeah.
So you know. Would you change a thing, or would you be doing the same thing?
No, I wouldn't, because it's been something that I've thought about for a while, and in a lot of other areas of my life, I've always been a go-getter, and so finally, when I had other people show, like, that's a great idea, I was like, all right, let's do this, and it's taking off, and everyone we've talked to has been really supportive of the idea and thinks that it's a wonderful and a good place for able to do something like this, to really unite all of these different programs and adaptive and activities that are around.
Yep, and I'm very proud of the resort where I work, and we have a guest in studio. We both work at Snowbird, and Snowbird with adaptive sports has been amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to everyone up there, Bob Bonauer and Dave Fields, and it's a great crew, and
Yeah.
we're very proud to be up there. So we're going to give your phone number out right now. Why don't you read it out, and we'll have it at the bottom of the screen.
Awesome. All right. So if you want to contact me about Utah Adaptive Alliance, you can call me at 385-229-6375.
One more time.
385-229-6375.
Okay, and I'm going to show you how it's done.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to give it to Randall. And watch this. This is a trained professional.
Okay, because I'm
Listen
not
to
trained.
how he does it.
I'm glad
please.
you asked me that, Trip. The number is 385-229-6375. Call right now.
I just pulled my wallet out just listening to your
there you
voice.
go.
I like his voice better.
Back to Amanda King,
Yes.
Utah Adaptive Alliance.
Okay, John, how would Bear do this?
Oh.
Bear wouldn't say anything.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say anything, or either that or ditto.
Amanda, thank you so much for being on. Your perspective is wonderful, and your get up and go and just not letting any obstacle get in the way. You have been a great guest, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amanda. For
my partners, Randall, John, I'm Tripp, saying we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.
I can't walk.
Now there's a faux pas.
I think we might need to re-record.
I think it's funny. I don't know.
Do you think we should leave it? Lee, what do you think?
I'd leave it.
Okay.
I was trying to make sure I was laughing during it too.
As opposed to glaring at you.
Yeah.
It was human.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Yeah.
lighthearted.